if we do not want the centralization of our food system in the same way that the centralization of our medical system, our banking system, and so many other systems have debased the value in America, then we must turn to local food systems. It's an urgency for human health, and I can't make people understand it. I can only just continue to provide local food.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Digest This podcast. I'm your host, Bethany Cameron, and I just finished recording an episode with Mollie Engelhart. And let me tell you, this is all about regenerative farming. Not just that, but what our food system is actually doing, how to navigate if you want to eat as clean as possible, the things that people don't tell you about organic, and that organic is actually being sprayed with chemicals. It may not be glyphosate, but they're still being sprayed. And do we really want poop and pee on our food? We go really deep into this episode as Mollie really shares about what we've lost over the years. We talk about fertility rates and the importance of convenience foods and why we've navigated more towards that. So much more in this episode. It was such a passionate conversation. We definitely need to have her back. And there's some exciting news for everyone in LA because Sage Kitchen is changing. So stay tuned for that. And without further ado, let's dive right in. Thank you so much, Mollie, for coming on the show today. We have so many topics to cover, and it's just an honor to see you in person.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I like to start off all my podcasts with rapid fire yes or no questions. So there's just about like 4 questions, but you can only answer yes or no. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. First question. Do politics run big food?
Yeah. No.
Is regenerative food better for our gut health?
Yes.
Do we really want poop and pee on our food?
Yes. 100%.
And last question, is organic farming completely chemical free?
Of course not.
CBD has been clinically shown to encourage balanced gut health and immune function and can help ease discomfort associated with digestive problems. In fact, a study in the NIH notes that one promising effect of internal CBD use is, and I quote, the activation of cannabinoid receptors in the gut, which not only suppresses many of the IBD-related symptoms, such as diarrhea and visceral hypersensitivity, but also inhibits the inflammatory reaction, end quote. Additional studies share that CBD can inhibit inflammation, aid in patients with IBD, modulate intestinal barrier functions, help decrease intestinal secretions, as well as help with headaches. So you may or may not know this, but I have certainly tried and tested my fair share of CBD products dating all the way back to 2017, long before CBD was even talked about. And it was one of the natural remedies my holistic doctor encouraged me to take while I was going through my severe gut issues. And till this day, I still keep CBD in my bag of tricks for gut health and to help keep inflammation at bay. So how do you choose the right CBD for gut health? Because, well, in this dynamic world of CBD, knowing which product and type to choose can be a little overwhelming. However, the form and spectrum of CBD can significantly influence its benefits, especially when it comes to digestive health. CB Distillery is a company I have grown to love for their full transparency, USA-grown hemp that is rigorously tested, and I just love that they display the most recent third-party tests on their website for anyone to view. They are not ashamed to share their results with nothing to hide. I personally recommend trying their distilled full spectrum CBD tincture, which contains just 2 simple ingredients, coconut MCT oil as the carrier and their full spectrum extract. That is it. CB Distillery also offers a 60-day money-back guarantee, which means you can use and try their CBD for a full 2 months. And if for whatever reason you're not satisfied, they will give you your money back. Guys, this is like a no brainer. And on top of that, they offer my listeners a whopping 25% off your entire order. Just use code DIGEST at checkout to get 25% off and try it risk free for 60 days. Go to thecbdistillery.com and use code DIGEST. That's THECBDISTILLERY.com and use code DIGEST. I'll also include that link in today's show notes so you can simply just go there with one easy tap. And speaking from experience, when your gut is inflamed, there's pretty much nothing you won't try. I hope you guys love it just as much as I do. If anyone listening right now suffers with acne or any kind of skin conditions, thyroid dysfunction, neurological problems, high blood pressure, or even TMJ, I hate to break it to you, but fluoride in your toothpaste could actually be the cause. Fluoride even contributes to acute high level exposure. Fluoride has even been linked to abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and even muscle spasms, which is really crazy, you guys. So I know everyone is looking for a fluoride-free toothpaste, and I've been using Bite toothpaste bits for, oh gosh, I would say like 2 years now, which is crazy. I love them. My husband loves them too. And they have a fluoride-free version, and they use hydroxyapatite, which is it's a non-toxic ingredient that I feel like is getting more attention now. So hydroxyapatite works by remineralizing enamel from within. It just reaches our innermost part of any kind of dental cavity, and it binds to plaque and harmful bacteria in our mouth. And hydroxyapatite is the active ingredient in Bite toothpaste bits fluoride-free toothpaste. I'm sure you guys have heard of Bite. I definitely recommend checking them out. They also have a natural teeth whitening kit and mouthwash. So I am offering my listeners 20% off, or should I say Bite is, which I am so grateful for them and this partnership. And if you go to trybite.com/digest, you can get 20% off. You can also use the code DIGEST at checkout to get 20% off as well. So just go to trybite.com/digest or use code DIGEST at checkout. Trust me, you guys, you're gonna love this game-changing toothpaste. And if you don't, for whatever reason, you can cancel at any time. Again, just go to trybite.com/digest. I do want to talk about regenerative farming, and you have 3 regenerative farms. Is that correct?
Two now. I sold one in
You t-
California.
okay. So you have one in California and one in Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you used to live in California. You moved to Texas. You're a chef. You're a restaurant owner. You're a board member of Kiss the Ground. You do so many things to help the population and educate. So where do we begin? So what made you move from California to Texas?
I believe that bureaucracy is the enemy of innovation. And I was trying so hard to do all these things in California. And I should be exactly what California wants. I'm an organic farmer, regenerative farmer. Have a brewery. We're bringing the grain back to the animals, where animals are making the fertilizer making vegetables, vegetables going back to the restaurant, like full keeping the food in the loop, everything that California should want. And yet every step of the way, they make it harder and more expensive. I want to be free to create and create community and create food and local food systems. But when it takes 6 months to a year to get a permit for a walk-in cooler, you can't move at the pace that I need to be able to move to create what I want to create in the years I have left on this planet. So I had to leave because I don't want to be hogtied.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so many just different regulations in California versus just other states in general. Now, I want to talk about forever chemicals being sprayed in our food. And so we all know glyphosate is being sprayed, but what about the other forever chemicals no one talks about?
I mean, there's so many forever chemicals being um sprayed in our food, and even as a farmer, I don't spray any chemicals, not even the ones that are like organic, like pyrethrum or whatever the chemicals that they allow. I don't use any chemicals, but I, so I'm like, searching sometimes for hay for my animals if we don't have enough forage or whatever. And I'm asking people questions. And then they'll say, oh, no, we don't spray Roundup. I spray something else. And then I look it up and it's like neuro damage, birth defects, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. But there's so many of them that it's hard for the average person to keep up on them. But I would say that you can just assume that 100% of the food that you're buying at the store is sprayed with chemicals, and organic chemicals are better than the conventional ones, but it's all got chemicals. It all does. And we, as the consumer, must demand something else. We have fallen asleep at the wheel, the consumer, we have made our convenience more important than our resilience. And so we've all got these lives that we're so busy that we can't possibly go pick up raw milk from a farmer or go to the farmer's market and shake the hand that feeds us. But honestly, we must demand something better, and we have to go back to that. And the regulatory agencies are not here to protect us. All of them are funded by the same chemical companies that are I don't want in my food or in my kids' food. So it's controversial because if all the science is being funded by the chemical companies, there's nobody's paying tons of money to see what the effects of manure on broccoli is. Like that's not what there's no money there. So all these studies that are saying it's totally perfectly safe for all these chemicals to be sprayed are funded by the same people that are making those chemicals. And if you just look around, we're getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and we continue. And when everybody focuses on getting rid of Roundup, which I think is important, glyphosates, I think it's super important. Don't get me wrong, I'm 100%, I'm like a crazy anti-glyphosate person. Um, but we have to see, well, what are they going to replace it with? Because we're not seeking, notice they're not seeking legislation to get rid of chemicals that kill microbiology in the gut. They're not seeking to get rid of any chemicals that attack the shikimate pathway. What they're doing is they're seeking to get rid of Roundup. And then the most of the laws that are shifting around Roundup are only on the consumer level. Well, what percentage of Roundup is, and I mean, who are the consumers that are spraying it on their lawn? I don't know. But what is the percent that's being sprayed on lawns? That's not the majority. The reality is, because we want to be able to harvest our food at a schedule and not have to wait for the weather and nature and not work with nature. We want to spray it and then 2 weeks later harvest it. Because Roundup kills plants, you can spray it on your wheat field and 2 weeks later it's perfectly ready to harvest. So now you can harvest on this specific date and you can bring it to the mill on this specific date and it can be shipped around the world on this specific date. Well, because of that, it is a crazy change in what our wheat is. And look at everybody with their gluten intolerances and wheat intolerances, eczema, rashes, all this stuff. It is not wheat. Wheat fermented with natural yeast from the environment, sourdough, has been a staple of humanity forever. Wheat is not the problem. We are the problem. What we're doing to the wheat is the problem. And how much we are taking out of the wheat. Like when you're milling it, we used to just mill the whole wheat berry and get all the nutrients. Now we take out 15 or 20%. And that's where the majority of the nutrients are, is in that 15 to 20%. So those two things are the problem, not wheat itself. But I don't know how to make everybody talk about all the forever chemicals, but I would even start in our homes. I would say that more toxic than whatever's being sprayed on your broccoli is the Fabuloso that you're cleaning your floors with, the Tide that you're washing your clothes with, the Christmas tree hanging in your car. Never understood that. People put a toxic chemical, hang it in their car, an endocrine interrupter that will make them estrogen dominant and sick, and then close the windows and put on air conditioning and breathe that air. I
I
don't
know.
get it. But
I know.
our shampoos, our conditioners, our cosmetics, we are literally poisoning ourselves. And like the canary in the coal mine because my mom raised me with no fragrances. So now I'm super sensitive to all these chemicals. I didn't get like my body didn't get dulled to the thing. So I'm sometimes my husband will be like, you should leave the restaurant right now. There's somebody that smells so bad that it can taste it in my mouth. You're gonna get sick because I get like my eyes get swollen or my tongue gets like swollen from too much of those. And so I would say that the first place where people are not talking about forever chemicals are right in our household. Anything that has the word fragrance in it, throw it away. Get it away from your family as soon as possible.
Oh, I completely agree. I feel like we're on the same page on so many levels, just regarding the wheat, the forever chemicals, the smells, all of that. And just going back to the whole wheat topic, I mean, you're completely right. It's wheat isn't the issue, it's the denature of what we've done to the wheat and the spraying of wheat. And even if people, that's why I'm sure you know, like so many people, they go to Europe on vacation, they can have pasta and bread, and they're like, well, how come I, can digest this? I have no issues over here. It's because it's completely different over there. And not just that, but the denaturing of the wheat. And then they fortify the wheat with synthetic vitamins, which makes it even worse.
Yes, totally. And it's interesting. I also think that being around the chemicals. So we lived in Ventura County. We had an organic farm, but surrounded by, well, 50% surrounded by wilderness and so 50% surrounded by all these farms that are spraying all types of forever chemicals on the avocados, on the lemons, and Roundup is just the start. They mean they spray stuff from the skies, from helicopters, all types of stuff. My sister-in-law has been living in LA, then living in Ventura, could not eat gluten, having gut issues, bleeding, all types of stuff every time she ate gluten. Now we're in Texas and we're getting the Oatman's Flats, like regenerative organic wheat, and we're doing only fermented sourdough from local juniper berries. I started my sourdough start with juniper berries from the local environment here. And she's able to eat, she's eating bread every day. She's like in heaven. She's been 10 years with no bread. But I wonder if it's also, even if we were eating organic wheat there in California, that something about having so much chemicals, her body was dealing with so many other things to fighting it off. It couldn't manage the wheat,
Oh,
that it's
yeah.
also how toxic the environment is. And I'm not saying my neighbors don't spray Roundup here. I can see a field right now that they do, but it's just like once a year pre-emergence on the hay fields, which is way different than every 3 months in the orchard, like all the row crops and the orchards and everything like that in California. It's significantly more. And we're not in a highly agricultural area. Mostly we're surrounded by like hunting leases kind of land, not growing food. So it's a much less toxic environment here as far as the chemicals.
Yeah, and I think too, what people don't realize or maybe just forget that even if you're eating something that is, quote, not sprayed with glyphosate, the runoff, like the water runoff, and maybe like a neighboring farm is spraying, and then there's the wind and water, and you just don't
I'll
know.
give you even worse than that. 100% of organic fertilizer is either blood meal, bone meal, poop coming out of the CAFO system. Those animals are all eating Roundup Ready corn, Roundup Ready, I mean, wheat that was sprayed with Roundup prior to barley, all of that was all sprayed. So you are eating your organic produce, which is being um fertilized by chicken poop of Purdue chickens that were fed whatever the Purdue chickens were fed and the antibiotics and everything that was given, or Tyson chickens, whatever. And then that poop gets mixed with wood shavings and whatever, heated and makes into pellets. And that's like organic fertilizer, right? Or there's ones that use fermented cow blood and whatever the
Wait,
different
so
things are.
so the organic fertilizer, there's no regulation on that, or how does that work?
No, it's that's why it's a fucking lie. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Um, this is my frustration with organic, and I've been certified organic now for 5 years, and I but I wanna say that, like, okay, my eggs, so if you were to go to farmer's market and buy my eggs, I have to have a sign that says, "These eggs are not certified organic." because, and my sign says, because bureaucracy sucks. And the powers that be say blah blah blah. But basically because I use the spent grain from my brewery, organic spent grain that we bought the grain, we made beer out of it, we put it into tubs and we bring it to the farm to feed the chickens. And because we use that, there's a chain of custody issue, they say, but I don't see the chain of custody. I have the custody the whole time. But because that chain of custody issue, they're saying I can't say my eggs are certified organic. Now, and if you got, like, let's say straw from leftover from a Halloween thing or something like that, and you used that straw to bed your chickens, you can't call those eggs organic anymore. But if I use that straw to bed my vegetables, it would be totally fine. It would be considered an organic input. I mean, like not certified organic, but it's like straw, you can use that. And if you use the poop from chickens that are eating Roundup every single day and put it on your thing, then that is considered organic as well. So the entire fertilizer streams for all organic food are coming from the CAFO, it's blood, it's bones, it's poop coming from that system. So it's really strange when vegans think like, oh, there's no death on my plate. Well, there's tons of death on your plate because the only other thing is if you're going to have non organic, but then that is synthetic chemicals mimicking what the poop would do, not creating any microbiology in the soil, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want anybody to catch me in thinking that I'm saying organic is not better. Organic is 100% better because Roundup that went through a ruminant or Roundup that went through a bird is far less toxic than just Roundup sprayed on something. I don't want anybody to conflate and say, well, Molly said it was, why even buy organic? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to demand better, but it's not about having governments mandate and regulate because it just becomes more and more paperwork for the farmer. It is about individual responsibility and you finding your farmer and having your connection. And that sounds crazy because everybody just wants to go to Costco. They have a lot of organic SKUs and be done. And I understand that. I'm a mother of five. I understand that. But we have to meet the farmer. We have to know where our food is coming from. If we do not want the centralization of our food system in the same way that the centralization of our medical system, our banking system, and so many other systems have debased the value in America, then we must turn to local food systems. It's an urgency for human health, and I can't make people understand it. I can only just continue to provide local food.
Yeah, and I think too, so it's obviously better to, if you can, go to a farmer's market versus going to the grocery store, because if you're meeting the farmer, is it safe to say, granted everyone is different, but if you go to a farmer's market and talk to the people, then they're not spraying anything or
No, it's not safe to say that. And I think you have to have a conversation and then you have to ask yourself whether you trust what they're saying. And
Mhm.
anybody who won't. So here's the thing, we always let people come to our farms. We have volunteer days. We have an open door policy because there's nothing happening that I don't want people to see. So if you ask to visit someone's farm, maybe you don't even have to go. But I'm just saying, if you ask and they give you kind of maybe someday, like they don't give you like a feeling that you could come, then I don't know. You have to ask whether you can trust that person. Like, if you look me in the eyes, I think that you will know I'm passionate about not feeding chemicals to my children. And so, and people say, I say, there's nothing on my food that I wouldn't put in my kid's mouth. And then they say, oh, well, you'll put poop and pee in your kid's mouth. And I said, yeah, every day. I mean, not in the form that they're saying it like that, but yes.
Yeah.
But don't put anything on my plants that I wouldn't feed to my children.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk about poop and pee and why it's so important to put that on our food. I mean, not on our plate, but on the food that we are growing, and why is that so important, and why should we even care?
So imagine 100 years ago. everyone knew a farmer. Everybody was related to a farmer, and every farm had a few hogs. They had a few cows, maybe a dairy cow, a few meat cows, and a few birds, chickens for eggs. And then they grew whatever they grew. They were a peanut farmer, or they were a cotton farmer, or they were whatever. And those animals provided the fertility for the soil. Those animals provided they had them grazing or they had them in pens and then they made compost piles and they spread that compost. That's the way it was. Now, what we did as humanity, we were like, we got to be really efficient. Like, we have 6 hogs on a farm, and then that guy only produces a couple thousand pounds of meat a year. And so we just got a guy that's just growing hogs. So he's got thousands of hogs in little slips for them, and they're shitting. And now the poop is a problem. We got to find a place for that poop to go. And we've got the chickens separate. And then the chickens, the litter for the chickens is becoming waste. And we've got to find a place for that chicken manure to go. And they've got to move it and truck it and get it away and sell it to a fertilizer company. So we've made the poop and pee a problem. But literally, the poop and pee has been integrated into the system for a long time. And just recently, we took it out of the system by separating commodity cropping and meat agriculture. We separated those things. So the guy growing cotton does not have some livestock to feed his fields. The guy growing peanuts does not have livestock. I mean, like a farm like mine where we have 50 sheep, 30 cows, 50 goats, 300, 400 chickens, that doesn't exist anymore. Literally, I don't know anyone else that's doing it. But that is the way farms were for hundreds of years, and that is the way that we maintained healthy soil for hundreds of years. Now we have separated the animal agriculture from the commodity agriculture, and because of that, we've got commodity agriculture that's in desperate need of nitrogen, and we have and soil that's in desperate need of humus and microbiology, and then we have animal agriculture that's in desperate need of dealing with the waste and it's going into our oceans and, da, 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 and causing these dead zones and all of this stuff. But healthy soil would just absorb that poop and make it into more healthy soil, which then makes it into more healthy plants, which absorb more carbon, which bring more carbon down, which feeds more microbiology. That microbiology feeds more plants, and then it becomes cyclical. And you want every bit of your ground to be covered in pee, poop, and saliva because that is the inoculant of the microbiology for the soil. You take a cow milk, raw cow milk, it's like 97% compatible with the human gut microbiology. Healthy soil is 72, 75% compatible with the human gut. Like this microbiology is necessary. Like foundationally, we were all meant to live together. We've all been coexisting soil, animals, humans. Like the fact that we all get so sick and get food poisoning and all of these things is partially, I'm not saying there's no food poisoning. I don't want anybody to like put raw chicken poop in their mouth. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that we don't have a strong gut anymore that has all the microbiology to protect us from all of the stuff that we are, you know, experiencing in our lives. And
Right.
so I believe, and the first times I had raw milk after being vegan for a long time, sure, I got a stomach ache and diarrhea, but that was my body adjusting to all that new microbiology that I was probably missing that hadn't been replenished since my mom was breastfeeding me 40 years ago.
Okay, you guys, listen up. If you have the following symptoms, such as constipation or diarrhea, anxiety, sugar or alcohol cravings, poor immune system, compulsive or disordered eating, low muscle mass, poor wound healing, slow recovery after workouts, heartburn or acid reflux, or digestive issues like colitis, IBS, diverticulitis, Crohn's, celiac disease, or symptoms from food sensitivities, taking L-glutamine could be beneficial. L-glutamine is one of the most important nutrients for a healthy digestive tract because of its ability to maintain the integrity of the intestinal wall. This amino acid, which is the most abundant amino acid in our body, helps heal all human tissues, especially those irritated tissues in the digestive tract. It's also been known as the calming amino acid since it's very effective at reducing anxiety, as well as sugar and alcohol cravings. Even progressive addiction treatment centers will use it to help reduce cravings. Plus, get this, you guys, in a 2011 study published in the Yonsei Medical Journal, found that glutamine supports the immune system and it's especially beneficial for patients in the hospital and those fighting viruses or overwhelming infections. Your entire immune system is protected from the toxic environment by your gut barrier. And if that barrier gets damaged, you will get sick and create an overactive immune system, producing inflammation throughout the body. Thankfully, a damaged gut lining can be reversed and can be accomplished by getting enough gut healing nutrients such as L-glutamine. Clinically, medical professionals have found this to be true with their clients, and I myself have experienced the benefits. That's why I created my very own L-glutamine powder under Bethany's Pantry. This powder is pure without any additives, fillers, flavorings, gums, or unnecessary ingredients. The ingredients are literally just one: L-glutamine. It's vegan, paleo, keto, and tasteless. So you can literally just add it to a glass of water, stir for 5 seconds, and sip without tasting anything. This amino acid also works well in smoothies, mixed in yogurt. I've even added it to my guacamole. It dissolves instantly and you can't even tell it's there. And your body will thank you from all the benefits you're giving it to fully heal in the area you need healing, or just boosting your immune system in prep for the upcoming flu season. Guys, I am so proud to finally offer a clean L-glutamine powder I can fully recommend. If you want a bag, just go to newzest-usa.com/Bethany's Pantry, where you'll find this plus all my other Bethany's Pantry items. Again, go to newzest-usa.com/Bethany's Pantry. That's nuzest-usa.com/Bethany's Pantry. I'll also leave that link in today's show notes. If you've ever wondered about the non toxic air fryers, shampoos and conditioners, organic undies, and new food products on the market, and even some not available to the public yet, and well, you want to get the inside scoop, then you need to join the 20,000 plus people that are already receiving these updates via my Friday Finds newsletter. I share information that only my subscribers get in their inbox. Stuff like non-toxic kitchen appliances, new food finds, product recalls, food news, and even personal care products we all should or should not be using. My Friday Finds newsletter goes out once a week every Friday and has quickly become some of my followers' favorite things to open in their inbox. I've even started to include a recipe in this once a week newsletter. This is not published anywhere else and cannot be found on my blog. So if you're not part of the over 20,000 people that are in the know, be sure you're not left out by going to littlesipper.com/subscribe and enter your email. That's it. It's free. There's no spam, just helpful, insightful content full of goods, literally. So pause this episode and go to LILSIPPER.com/subscribe. That's LILSIPPER.com/subscribe. I think a lot of people have experienced that, myself included. Even, taking a probiotic pill, I take seed, and a lot of people will get, and I too, experience bloating and, maybe some diarrhea at first because they were new microbiomes. It was a soil-based organism, which is a type of a probiotic. And like you were saying, even raw milk, it's not necessarily like bad for you. It's just your body like experiencing a new good bacteria that your body's adjusting to. And all that to say, I do want to talk about it because you just said you were vegan and you transitioned and you are vegetarian now.
I'm vegetarian now, and I've played a little bit with bone broth. Like I've been meat doesn't resonate with me, and it might just be because I've never eaten it. I was raised vegan. My mom was vegan when I was in the womb, and so it's a big adjustment for me. But my husband is Mexican. He eats meat, and But I've been, making bone broth for my family and tasting it. I think I will probably try to integrate bone broth. This is all a process for me. I've been vegan, vegetarian my whole life. I've
Since
had meat
birth.
since birth. I had like a
Wow.
small piece of chicken one time just to see what it tasted like, and a small piece of a hamburger in my teenage years. And that's it. And
And it
so
just doesn't digest well for you, or you just
I just it doesn't occur as food to me because
Mhm.
I've never eaten it. It doesn't like I don't think like, "Oh, I wanna eat that," like, at all. Like, I don't have any desire
Okay.
to eat that. So it's gonna be but the bone broth was fine, and so we'll see. But I'm eating dairy for sure, and cultured dairy and non-cultured raw dairy. And,
Eggs? Do you eat eggs?
yes, I eat eggs. We have 300 chickens, so we have eggs from our farm. And I've been playing, me and my sister-in-law, we've been making cheese, sour cream, yogurt, kefir. So we have a lot. I'm getting animal protein in those ways, but I haven't like had a bite of a steak or anything yet because
Have you noticed any, health differences from switching, f to vegan to vegetarian?
no, the vegetarian vegan thing though, I have made that switch a few times in my life. Like in college, it was hard to be vegan. I'm 40, almost 46, so the however many years ago there wasn't options or whatever. So I was vegetarian during college and some different times. But uh no, I haven't. But honestly, to be honest, like I always have eaten a whole food diet. And so I feel like a lot of people, when they switch to veganism, they feel better because they're eating just whole foods. And I've had the blessing of eating whole foods for the majority of my life. And being in touch with soil for the majority of my life. And so I haven't had a huge um, shift, but I do notice in my kids, to be honest, the ones that I was fully vegan when I was pregnant and then eating dairy, I do notice some health differences. And none of my kids were vaccinated, or there's no other factors to like as
Mhm.
far as that. But I do notice some of that. I noticed the health of the teeth of the kids that were vegan while I was pregnant are less healthy than the ones that um I was eating dairy during the time.
Okay, so you're just comparing when you were vegan pregnant versus vegetarian pregnant and the outcome of your children, not, your children's diet today.
Well, and so interesting, I have 2 kids that are vegetarian and 2 kids that eat meat. Oh, one kid is vegetarian, he eats bacon only, so I guess he's not vegetarian, but he hasn't eaten any other meat. My kids are all, like, been around the farm, they've all seen the what it is to harvest an animal, what it is to take a life, like, they've seen that, and I'm giving them all the space to make that choice for themselves. And other people say, like, "Oh, well, you should have just fed them meat from the beginning," and my littlest daughter, my husband decided to do that. He was like, none of this them choosing their kids. They can't choose. So my youngest daughter got meat. She's 1, so she's just started eating, but my husband started giving her meat right away. And that was okay. Like my belief system shifted over the 10 years of having children. And so I have to like if that my belief system has shifted, why would I judge my husband for doing that? So we'll see the health difference between the one that was vegan in the womb and vegan for the first 4 years to the one that has been eating meat and bone broth from the 6 months or whatever. So we'll see that over the time as my children grow up. But I believe that I do see a health difference in the children. But I'm just saying, even my daughter who's vegetarian, I think is a little healthier than my son who eats meat, but he was vegan in the womb, and
Mm.
only hospital birth as well. And I just see some impacts of the hospital birth and probably being vegan.
Interesting. And this is completely off topic because I want to go back on topic, but when you just mentioned hospital births. So my husband and I, we were talking about hospital births and what they don't really tell you when you have a child in the hospital is that immediately they, correct me if I'm wrong, but they inject something in the baby. It's some sort of like vitamin or something that they don't even tell you that they're
Vitamin
doing.
K.
Vitamin K. Yes, that's it.
Opt out of it, and I did opt out of it.
Okay. Yeah, that's just like side note. If you are having a hospital birth, you can opt out of getting and tell the doctor, I do not
I
want my
opted out
child.
of everything, the eye drops, the vitamin K,
Okay.
everything, and I also opted out of the baby never left my presence. But he did get vacuumed out with a vacuum, because I was refusing the C-section that they were trying to give me.
Mhm.
And it was a whole thing. I had a broken coccyx bone and they had that healed wrong when I was younger. So I had to break my coccyx bone to get him out. Because I was trying to have a home birth and then we had to go to the hospital. And so I had then all the rest of my children were born at home. But I do notice the impact. I think there's some neurological impacts from the being vacuumed out, to be honest.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that could be like another topic.
He's not like slow or and I mean he's super smart, but he has some weird stuff around smells and food that make him just vomit involuntarily, which has made it hard for us to dictate for him to eat certain things or that we want him to eat. If he keeps just vomiting at the table, it's like that has made it very challenging. We've done neurofeedback and we've done sacral cranial sacral, but I do think that it's an impact of him, well, being stuck maybe could be just being stuck in the birth canal for so many hours and then being vacuumed out, that there was some, because it can be something that he would love to eat that's filled with sugar, let's say, could be a oatmeal raisin cookie, and it could be a little mushy on the inside, and then he just throws up. He could step in
Mm,
dog food and just throws up. Like, he can't help himself. So, it's not like he's very smart. It's not like that kind of neuro thing, but I think there's something about why would he just throw up all the time? Seems weird.
yeah. Wow. I mean, I feel like we should bring you back just to talk about all those things for another podcast episode. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to go off topic here, but I just thought that was really important to bring up. Molly, so I want to talk about processed foods for a second. Now, nowadays, it's indicated that 83% of food items sold in US grocery stores are ultra processed packaged food. And I think the main reason processed foods remain a staple in today's diet is because of marketing. Um, I mean, how often do you see an ad for a banana or grass fed meat or pasture raised eggs or like raw milk? Really? I mean, never. Let's just kind of bring up the whole marketing aspect of things.
I mean, I think it's marketing, but I also think it's convenience. We all like buy, I mean, this is gonna go way deep on the other direction, but like new wave feminism really took women out of the household and out of the family. And so there's a need for convenience because both parents are working. And I don't want anybody to say that I don't think women should work. That's not what I'm saying. I clearly work super hard. But what and I too surrender to the convenience of things. And I think that with it used to be that the woman, there was like the job of the house and the job of the making money. But right now we have many single parent households and we have many both parents working households, without help. And so because of that, people are forced to be able to make a meal in 20 minutes, to be able to make a meal in 15 minutes, to be able to have something in the car to give the kids when they pick them up so they are don't get low blood sugar. Well, when you think about that, if you're going to make, like, we live a life now where we make, my husband makes 100% of our bread. We oh, any meat is coming from the farm with the exception of maybe some pastured chicken from Bluff Ranch in California, like super high end, but like we make everything. And if we're gonna have a sugary thing, we make it. Like we'll make a cake or we'll make something from scratch. And so, but when you think about a life, that takes up a whole time. Like literally, we live in community and different people take turns cooking and all of that. So there's different people focusing on that each day, or when someone's taking the week, or however we're doing it. But if two parents are working, I just think it's very, very hard for them to feed only whole foods unless everybody's just eating eggs all the time. And that's I think eggs is a good I think eggs is a good thing if you're in a rush and whatever time of the day it is, you can feed.
Oh, yeah, you can definitely have eggs for breakfast and all that, and I think you're completely right too, how we're not, putting down anyone that is, to a household with a working mom and dad or single parents, like, totally get it, and I mean, with prices today, inflation, like, a lot of families need the 2 incomes, so that's not, again, what we're saying.
And even me, I mean, I feel like we're really conscious and we cook almost all of our food from scratch and make the bread and then make French toast with the bread that we made, like super from scratch family. But in my car, I have like Trader Joe's or HEB organic peanut butter crackers because sometimes it's like a meltdown because the kids have low blood sugar, like, and I don't want to stop at a fast food place. So, or I have organic fig bars or whatever. I definitely have processed food in my kids' lives because I need to function and do all that I'm responsible to do. And so I would say that advertising is part of it, but I don't watch TV and I don't, I don't get advertised to about food in the world that I live in, and I still succumb to the convenience of ultra processed foods. My kids eat pasta a lot, and even if it's certified organic and from Italy and blah blah blah, pasta is pretty processed, you know what I mean? And so I don't know what's considered ultra. I don't know. Do you know what the definition of ultra
I mean,
processed?
like, for example, like olive oil, that is considered processed, right? Because it is processed, but it's not ultra processed. Like ultra processed would be like the white bread, like the cookies, the cereals, like all of that junk, baby, basically.
And that's what I was wondering what it is, because olive oil, literally, we make olive oil from well, when I before I sold my farm in California, I still have a 55-gallon drum of California olive oil that I took from this last year's harvest. But literally, you just bring it to this mill in Ojai. They wash it and put it in, and then the olive oil comes, it grinds it, and it comes out. So it's not like very processed. And there's like flour, you could just grind the flour yourself in the Vitamix and make bread from the wheat berries. That would be not really processed. But then if you're fortifying it and all of that, that's what it is. And that's
Totally.
why I buy pasta from Italy, because they don't fortify their
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
don't use Roundup on their wheat.
That is a good tip for people too. Like if you are buying pasta, you want to make sure that it says non-fortified. And a lot of people think when they even look at like a cereal box, they're like, "Oh, it says fortified. That's awesome." No, you don't want that because it means everything was stripped away and then everything's put back with synthetic things. And it messes everything up. Like sorry, just that it just puts me on a tangent, but
Here's
yeah.
the thing is women need to be the drivers of this thing. We are the mama bears of our children, and we are the mama bears of this earth. And our sons' fertility, our sons' fertility is decreasing at a historic rate, 50% fertility lost in 20 years. Like, if you want your children to be able to make love to someone that they love and have children in the future, which I believe every parent wants that for their children, for their uh, bloodline to go on, for their children to have the fulfillment of having children, we have to be the uh protectors. And literally my husband gets so annoyed about it. Like my own son Rio will be in the store and he'll be like, are those waffles organic? And I'll say no, and he'll be like, just wish someone would make organic Belgian waffles. And my husband will be like, just try, it's okay, you could have it one time. Like that's my husband's way about it. And my son Rio will be like, no dad, I don't want those chemicals. And I think it's up to women to educate and train our children to want something better so that they then protect their children. Like this has to happen, but it's going to be up to us. And maybe there's some men that are super passionate about it, but my experience is that it's more gotta be the women to drive this conversation, and traditionally, it would be the women to put the food on the table and to curate what her family eats, and so it is no different. We just need to curate away from ultra-processed, forever chemicals, and the truth is 83% you're saying is ultra-processed. I would say that 90% of what's available in the grocery store, I would never eat.
Yeah. It's insane.
I when I go into the grocery store, I'm looking for like that one organic thing, like, oh, yeah, you can get that. I'm looking for this one thing in this area. Like, I don't feel like the grocery store is not for me. Like, I'm just like looking and seeking the one little thing in between. But if we all seek the one little thing in between, then the business shifts. And it's interesting because we live in a capitalist society, but truthfully, we don't live in a capitalist society because capitalism is predicated on things have to be allowed to tumble if they're not for the greater good. But when the Federal Reserve continues to print money and bail out companies that are too big to fail because it will have a negative impact on society as a whole, we are propping up many systems right now with that fiat system of letting the Federal Reserve bail people out. But truthfully, entrepreneurs bring value to the market. People then give the entrepreneur money because they want that value. And if they're no longer bringing value to the community, then their thing falls away. So true capitalism is just like nature. It crumbles if it doesn't work. But we have a crony capitalism system propped up by the Federal Reserve printing money and debasing all of us. We're trading our time for money every day, and then the Federal Reserve just prints money and dilutes that. And so we're not in a true capitalist system. But in a true capitalist system, the buyer has the power. But we still do have power in this system, but we have to at mass choose to just no more Coke, no more Pepsi, no more Sprite, no more cigarettes, no more. We just have to choose because then it's not a $1 billion industry if nobody wants it. But we have to be awake and making that choice and raising children that are going to be even more awake than us and making that choice ongoingly.
No, I completely agree. And it's crazy to say that 50% fertility loss has been just in the past 20 years, and it's definitely continuing to
But
decline.
nobody seems to be even that concerned about it. Like, have you talked like, I have many friends that are like, "Ah, it's just whatever, what can we do about it?" Chemical or the other thing is chemicals are everywhere, so why should I try? And I'm like, "No, yes, chemicals are everywhere, but it's also like we can only
You have to be the change. You have to speak up. Yeah.
yeah, but we can only take in so many chemicals. So if my water has chemicals in it, and if my air has chemicals in it, and there's chemtrails all through the sky, and there's dropping particulate matter of aluminum on me all the time, well, then I can choose to let my kids drink out of glass instead of aluminum because there's already plenty of aluminum in the sky that they're having to contend with. And that would be really what I would be thinking.
Yeah, and you can't just be like, "Oh, well, whatever." I mean, obviously you do what you can. You can't just be like, "Well, I guess I'm just gonna drink tap water, whatever. It's just everywhere." I mean, you do what you can,
Yeah. And I
with what you
And
have.
a filter. I drink tap I mean, I have well water, but even in California, I drink tap water and ran it through a Berkey. Because, like, I'm also like, don't wanna just be throwing plastic bottles and then glass bottles, and then what's the impact of transporting them and da 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 da.
Right.
So we
But
all
you
have
ran it through a Berkey.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, so I mean,
Even I run the
I
well water through a Berkey because I don't know what kind of runoff chemicals are in my well.
right. So if you have a filter, I mean, we have a filter and we take our tap water and it goes through a filter too. Now, what advice I want to ask, what advice can you give to those living in the city who can't move away for whatever reason due to their job, family, etc., but they want to live as independently as possible and not rely on big food for their supply? So, what advice can you give to those people living in the city?
Prioritize buying food directly from farmer. And in California, this is super easy. Like, you can meet people and you can go pick up your food directly from them and buy a- join a milk herd share where you own a part of someone's cow. So you can live in an apartment in Santa Monica and you could pay, I don't know, $100 or $50 or $150, whatever the herd shares buy-in is, and you'll own 1/16th of Hilda the cow, and then you get to go pick up your milk, and then you pay that farmer to maintain your cow and to bottle your milk and all of that. And so you're not actually paying for the milk, you're paying for your cow to be cared for every week when you pick up your milk. So buy a whole cow from a farmer when it's still alive, so that, and then have them process it at a local butcher. And then you can, because you can't buy a cow unless it's processed USDA once it's been processed. But if you were like, "Hey Molly, can I buy one of your cows?" And I said, "Yeah, you can buy it and you pay me while it's still alive," then I can have it processed at any custom process place, and it will pack it all for you like hamburgers, and the whole thing will be all cut up in like 2-pound packages of hamburgers and steaks, and however you we give a cut list. And so then you're buying the cow and you pay for your custom cut. And so in that way, you're getting all this meat that came from one cow, single source, packed for you, and you can share that with some neighbors. I think that buying a whole cow is a really good way. It's also a good way to, like, you're not taking in the energy of thousands of different animals. Like, it's one animal that, and you can be super reverent for that animal and what it gave its life for you, and it's giving your family life, and that can last you like a whole year. It could last you 6 months. It depends on how much meat you eat and how big your family is. I recommend buying vegetables from people that you know and that you trust, and these are all things that take more effort. Like, it is so easy to just go and order something on Amazon or on Instacart and have it show up at your house. I know that that is easy. There's also a guy, AJ Richards. He's a friend of mine, and he has a mm, from the farm app that he's launching. So people can download that app. It's still in the early phases, but it's going to give you access to all the regenerative farmers around you. And he's doing big, awesome things. I think he was on Rogan last week on Thursday, or he recorded on Thursday. I don't know what day it's going to air.
What's his app, From the Farm?
From the farm.
Okay, and you can download it and it gives a lot of resources? Is that what you
Yeah, well, it's gonna give,
said?
you'll be able to order from the farm, from American beef producer. He's starting with American beef producers, then he's gonna add other stuff. But it's gonna be American regenerative beef producers. And he's awesome because he ran a couple of meat packing facilities, and he's really like dove into what are the problems and what needs to be solved. And you see the top four are packing almost all of our meat. And so the reality is we have to move away from buying from those top 4 meat producers, because they are processing 80% of the meat. And so that puts us at a very vulnerable position. We need to move it back to like 50% of the meat is being processed at smaller independent packing houses and butchers, and then 50% with the big. I'm not saying we don't need big systems to feed everybody, but I'm saying we don't want the big system to be 80%, because if they have a contamination issue, fires, any kind of thing, it puts our whole food system at risk. I mean, there was some internal memos with Walmart that they were saying if Walmart didn't receive food for a week, if their systems broke down, people would be starving in America because of how much food is bought at Walmart. Like, that's, I don't buy food at Walmart, so I would never have thought of that, but that is a crazy, thing to think about, how many people are getting their food from one single source. So it's really about diversifying where you're getting your food from. Order a butcher box from a small farmer, order a CSA box from a farmer, order, really connect, but not like ugly produce that's just collating. And I'm not saying ugly produce is bad. I think it's good to not throw away produce because it's ugly. But I also think it's like a solution to a manufactured problem. Why don't we just all accept that not every pepper is the same and not every lemon is the same? Why do we only send a certain shape of lemon to the store? Like, I don't get it. I had a friend send me a picture of her lemon tree, and she's like, "Oh my God, can you send this to," she sent it to my cousin. "Can you send this to your cousin? Because she's a citrus farmer, and see what's wrong with my lemon tree." And I was like, "Nothing's wrong with the lemon tree. It seems like it's abundant with lemons." She's like, "Why are they all different shapes?" And I was like, "Lemons come in all different shapes. We
Yeah.
just only send one shape to the grocery store and all the rest turn into lemon juice."
Yeah, I think I posted something. My parents have a lemon tree, and it has again different shapes. It looks kind of weird. One looks, like a male part. It just all these different things. And then I think I shared it, and they were like, "Oh, that's GMO. That's GMO." I'm like, "No, it's not GMO. It's just natural. That's just
Yeah,
whatever."
we just only send there's a sizer that gets thrown through this thing, and the ones that fit through this hole go to the store, and then the ones that are this size go to the store, and then the ones that are too big get made into juice, and the ones that are too little get made into juice, and any ones that are not like that oval shape, because lots of them look kind of more like an orange shape, a round shape, but and then some of them have weird flaps in the skin, like you were
Yeah.
talking about. Often I don't male parts and also female parts are show up in the sides of lemons regularly.
Yeah, for sure. And so, isn't that sad though, that we have come to the point where society will not buy produce because it's not, quote, pretty?
Oh, I get so mad about it when I'm at the farmer's market and people are like manhandling all the tomatoes and then pick 3, and then I'm like, "But did everybody else want you to smush their tomato?" Like, it's so messed up because by people being very picky about how they pick out their produce and smushing the lemons and I mean, the melons and smelling them and smushing the tomatoes, what they're doing is they're degrading that produce to go bad faster for the next person that might not do that.
Yeah. I mean, all right. Now, I do want to talk about this because prior to us starting to record, for those that don't know, you own Sage Vegan Bistro, which is now changing. So tell us about that.
Yes, so we are making an announcement shortly, and in May, we're transitioning to being from Sage Vegan Bistro for the last 13 years. We are changing to Sage, a regenerative kitchen. And so we will be a fully regenerative, all our commitment is everything organic or regenerative. And where there's no, everything is going to be regenerative is eggs, milk, cheese, and meat. Um, so those will be all, and then as far as like grains, they will all be certified organic, and then vegetables will be hyper local or certified organic. And that is our commitment. We'll have regenerative coffee, regenerative meat. We're going to be really talking the talk and supporting the regenerative agricultural movement. And I don't think there is any restaurant in Los Angeles that's doing that yet. I know Hobdobby, which is a chain of burgers. They carry the Force of Nature burger patty, and so they are moving in that direction. But we will be the top front part of our menu is going to be the What's Possible burger, which will be a buffalo burger from Force of Nature being grown on the Turner Ranch in Montana, like fully in nature, buffalo in herds, looks like a national park. And they are being living their best life until they're not. And so that is going, and we're also going to have buffalo sausage for breakfast from them. But and Bluff Ranch in Northern California for the chicken, and then also pasture bird. We're going to be at like the most high quality vital pastures, regenerative eggs. We're really good at, we've done a bunch of research and we're going to be at the highest quality of protein that's out there. And we will have 2 fryers. So people that still want to be vegan, we will have a organic rice bran oil fryer, and then we'll have a tallow fryer. And so you'll be able to have tallow fries, you'll be able to have our buffalo cauliflower in tallow, or you could have it in the way that we've been doing it in the rice bran oil. And we really want to, and we're going to have bone broth every day, both chicken and beef bone broth ramen. And so you could have, there's almost no organic ramen in Los Angeles, or there is no organic ramen in Los Angeles. So we will be having organic bone broth ramen with organic noodles in it. And so it will be a much shorter menu than what Sage has right now. And people will have to understand that we will also be 86 on things because the way we're buying directly from the farm or getting the farm to get Cisco to pick up that farm so we can order it, everything will not be as readily available, as convenient as it is for us to just order the things that we order from our current purveyors. We are having to create the pathway for this meat to get to our restaurant. We may have to buy in pallets and have freezer storage. Like we're having to do all these things to make this work. And so our request for our customers is to understand that you may come and you were there to have the what's possible burger, because what is possible with regenerative agriculture, and then you have to have a chicken sandwich or something because the our commitment is not to always have everything available for you. Our commitment is to have the highest quality available for you, and so we don't want to be supplementing with whatever, because we just want to make sure that every we have everything you want, if that
No,
makes sense.
totally makes sense. That mean you're not gonna be ordering from Cisco, you're gonna be ordering direct from these companies, and if it's out, it's
Well, even
out.
so, let's say, for example, Cisco may bring in this chicken from this farmer specifically for us, or Shamrock Foods might bring
Okay.
in it may, because we still need a supply chain to get it from the farm. Like Rome Ranch is in Texas, and then where the buffalo is in Montana. So there still needs to be a refrigerated supply chain to get to us. So we may use Cisco or Shamrock Foods, or 100% we will use these supply chains that exist, but it's like they're bringing it in. Our flour, Cisco will use our flour. Oatman's Flats is a regenerative farm in Arizona. They will be bringing in that flour. And then, but what's great about that is then the other Cisco customers could buy regenerative or certified organic flour from Oatman's Flats that's supporting regenerative agriculture if they're interested in that. Or if their regular organic flour is out, they might be able to order that and then they love it and they want to do better. So by using these third parties that we need to, because I don't have a supply chain to get to my restaurants, we will be bringing them in. But then by bringing them into these bigger companies, what happens is we make it available to every restaurant in Los Angeles. And Habdabi, for example, has brought the regenerative bison and the regenerative burger meat through Shamrock Foods and through another company. I can't, it's escaping me at the moment, but that, because they already made that supply chain, now I'm ordering it. And so another person is supporting Rome Ranch and Force of
Mhm,
Nature and
mhm,
what they're doing. So we can't just say everything that shows up on a Cisco truck is bad. I think it's kind of like the grocery store. It's at 90% bad, what shows up on a Cisco truck.
mhm.
But until we don't have hub and spoke models for local food systems, and we don't have enough of these, and a restaurant doesn't have the freezer storage to have everything is set up based on us being able to just call our purveyor and having it come the next day, maybe a skip day if it's something special and it needs to come from a separate warehouse. So we're really, by doing what we're doing, we're getting stuff direct from the farmer, we're bringing it into things, but it is going to be a much less secure supply chain, but hopefully creating, in the end, a better supply chain for all of us. And so we are excited about it and we're nervous, and we hope that our customers will forgive us for what they believe is a trespass against veganism. And I hope that we'll gain new customers who understand the value of regenerative agriculture and the value of high quality meat that was grown grass fed on pasture, and what that does for our soil, for our bodies, for our microbiome, and for our atmosphere.
Oh, I think the movement from veganism, from people eating meat, I'm seeing so much change that people used to be vegan and now they're accepting meat. And I think that the whole veganism that was so, 20, that was so 2010, and even if you are still vegan, you will still be offering vegan options. So it's not off the table.
I've been a vegetarian my entire life. To this day, I'm still a vegetarian. And I've been a vegan for a large portion of my life. And I honor and value all the customers who have supported what we're doing. And when I came to opening Sage, I believed that veganism was the path forward. I believed that veganism was for all of us. And what I realized was in becoming a farmer, that's not true. There's no way, like the idea to that we could feed the whole world a vegan diet and thrive is a lie. There is no pathway for that. And so we have to realize that we are all not exactly the same. And those of us that can thrive on a vegetarian or vegan diet, great. And those of us who need to eat pretty much only meat, great. Like my husband would be best just eating meat and vegetables. He loves carbohydrates, eats them too much, but when he's at his best, he's just every time he eats a meal, it's just meat and vegetables. He says, "This is all I should eat. This is really all I should eat." And then he does it. We all are different. And so to think that there's one prescription, there's one diet for everyone is like thinking there's only one pathway for anything for everybody. And that is not true. Like we are all unique imprints of God and we are all unique. And so we all will process food differently. And I want to have an opportunity for people to be able to come and commune and eat together and have something for everybody, which is also was my goal with Sage. And I always tried to have very accessible food for people that were not vegan that would enjoy it. But what I realize is my passion is in regenerative agriculture because I can see the difference in a short period of time where I can take desecrated soil and turn it into beautiful life. And I realize that that is a pathway forward for humanity. And I don't see a pathway forward through veganism. And so the only authentic expression of myself as a chef is to make this transition. And I hope that people can honor that and see that and value that and enjoy what we're offering. And honestly, our restaurants have been struggling since the pandemic. Because we were closed down for 2.5 years and culture has shifted in Los Angeles. People eat out less. People don't want to be in crowded places. People don't want to eat inside. There's so many stuff that's changed. I really hope that this shift brings in a new customer. And I hope that also our old customers can forgive us and understand us and see the value that I am your partner in the humane treatment of animals, that I want animals to be treated well, and that everybody on some level, I believe, wants that. And but if we don't support these farmers who are really trying to provide meat in a way that sequesters carbon, builds microbiology, builds biomass, and creates healthiest meat that's possible for people, if we don't support that, it will go away. And there is a huge movement to centralize the food system. I mean, just look 260 something food plants burned down in the last 3 years. And if you think that that's just like accidental, I'm sorry, it's not. Azure Standard is where I order many food for our restaurant and they were burned down. Look at all irrigation companies were burned down, chicken farms were burned down. Like the amount of food, things that we need to process food that were just eliminated over the last 2 years or had to rebuild and everything is crazy. There's an attack on our food system, and I want to do what's best for the whole. And I believe that this transition is best for the whole.
Man, well, you definitely have my support, and I'm excited for the restaurant. And by the time this episode airs, you will have made that transition. So I just want to give a little PSA to everyone or anyone listening in LA or planning to come. Sage Vegan Bistro will now be Sage Regenerative Bistro.
It'll be Sage, a regenerative kitchen.
Sage, a regenerative kitchen. And I love whether you're vegan, vegetarian, full on carnivore. I do want to say you do not use seed oils in your restaurant,
Well,
right?
we're gonna have rice bran oil as the fryer option, and then we'll have tallow. So there'll be, but we
Okay.
will not be cooking with seed oils other than that. But other than the fryer oil options are limited if you're not gonna go tallow, and so that will be. But we will be using olive oil and non-cooked food and avocado oil on the grill, unless it's gonna be ghee for the meat people.
I love it. I love it so much. Quality over everything, right? And um, I have a question. Will you be selling things for pantry? Will you be selling like breads or meats that people can take home? Or is this just restaurant?
We're in that conversation right now. We were thinking about starting with a bone broth like cleanse where like maybe for the new year or something, where people could get bone broth delivered to their house in glass jars that was made from regenerative meat and that are regenerative bones, and then go from there and have other options and with like different Ayurvedic herbs and from local farms in the bone broth and then start from there. But we would love to do pantry items. We have the cannery license in our Expo Park store, so we are licensed to be able to do that. This is really a tenuous time for us. We really hope that we make it and that this works. And so we plan on expanding, but first we just have to get the menu right and get the customers to be willing to make this transition.
Okay, so to be determined, stay tuned for that. I'm excited. I hope everyone else is, even if you're not in California. I think what you have to share, Molly, just about regenerative agriculture and what's really going on in the food system, because you're just a wealth of knowledge and you've experienced it firsthand.
Yes, for sure. Can I add just one thing to
Add it, go for it.
we didn't talk at all about what I'm doing in Texas, but I just want to put that out there because so we started a regenerative farm here in Texas with a restaurant on the farm and 30 beds. And so we can do yoga retreats, we can do corporate like team building or family reunions, weddings, any kind of thing where you want to be in the natural environment, you want to be breathing the natural microbiology, you want to be touching soil, you want to be eating food, you want to know like, wow, I'm going to walk to this restaurant on this farm and everything that they're going to be serving, 90% of it's going to be from the farm. And that is what we're providing here on Sovereignty Ranch. And I just want to invite people to look us up, book a seminar, book a retreat. If you're some kind of instructor. We do all different kinds of courses from homesteading. Right now, there's a dome building. We're doing some other natural building courses, but we really have a beautiful facility to bring people closer to nature and closer to their food. And so this is a great opportunity for businesses, individuals, families to come and be in this environment. And so I just want to invite people. And we're building a brewery on the farm. It's not built yet, but the restaurant is built. There's a yurt for doing meetings and stuff. There's 30 beds, different tents, and um, tiny houses and shipping container bedrooms and 3 bedroom full houses, like all different options. And so I just want to really invite people to come and check out what we're doing. Uh, if you're interested in this kind of things that we're talking about, this would be a great place for you to explore with your family or for a special event or any of those.
Or even like, yeah, like a business retreat or some sort of, I love it. Where, what part of Texas?
We're just outside of San Antonio, so you would fly into the San Antonio airport, and we're 45 minutes away. We're between Kerrville and San Antonio. We have 200 acres. We have greenhouses, cows, sheep, goats, pigs, chickens, everything. Um, living in balance and harmony, moving the animals every day with the electrical fence, doing the mob grazing. So all of these things you can come and check out that you've heard about or you're interested, what does regenerative agriculture look like? We are providing that opportunity. And if anybody's interested in investing in this business opportunity that we're doing, that is on the Sovereignty Ranch website. There's a deck that says invest, and you can look into that. But we really just want to invite everybody to be our guest here. I'm passionate about food and I'm passionate about people learning why it makes a difference. And so I wanted to create a vacation hospitality environment where people could learn that. Or if, maybe one person in the family is really into it, but bring the whole family to come check it out. And so we can accommodate, like I said, up to 30 beds on the property. And then, of course, we're doing for this coming week, we're doing a eclipse, or well, it'll be already passed when this comes out, but we're having 450 people to the ranch this weekend for the eclipse that's happening. And so we're, bringing in extra glamping tents and everything like that. So we can even go big if you had some event like that and we're renting 50 additional glamping tents to what we already have on the property.
So where can people find this website and check it out?
Sovereigntyranch.com, or you can go to Sovereignty Ranch on Instagram or Chef Molly on Instagram, and you can find out about everything that we're doing.
I love it. And then we'll be sure to put those links in today's show notes. Check out Now, Sage, I
A
keep saying
regenerative
Sage
kitchen.
Bistro. Yeah.
Sage, a regenerative kitchen.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Molly, for your time. It was a pleasure, and you're always welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Let's get back on and talk about home birth and all of that stuff.
We need to have you back for that for sure.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Resonant Media production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.